who are your population? Who are you targeting? Who are you going to interview? Who are you going to involve? Who are you going to distribute your questionnaire and what? If you're doing pure systematic review or research, it's got to that point. What kind of database are you gonna be sourcing out? What kind of article are you gonna be reading? And other uh the year as a parameter that I'm looking at studies done within this area and all that. So because many of you, all of you here are doing primary data, right? And that very primary data you are doing, research you are doing, you're collecting, you're going to collect is being defined by research sampling. Okay, so we're gonna be looking at research sampling. What is research sampling, and all that. Now, so at the end of this lesson, you are going to be able to understand what sampling method is all about, understand sampling techniques and procedures, discuss sampling bias, and ethical considerations. These are the three and many other outcomes which you are going to get yourself used to at the end of this lecture. What is sampling? Guys, what do you understand by sampling? Is anyone here? What do you, on your own, what do you understand by sampling? You guys have done research before. You
Okay.
did research at honors level and so on and so forth. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Sample, it's not to get the entire information, just to get selected information from a group set. Just as my definition.
Thank you. Anyone? Anyone? Peggy, is she here? Don't worry, we're not asking you to put on your camera. We're asking you just what you understand by sampling. Okay. Anyone again? Okay, remember, guys, in a census, right? In a census, by default, it's been expected that everyone in the population should be accounted. But in this case right now, by the nature of research, how it's been designed, it will be highly impossible for you to count, for you to get involved everyone that you are targeting, that are within your population, that you are defined as people that you are. Okay, for example, you're okay, you are doing a study, remember our example on generative AI, Gen AI, and you're using it, you're looking at student population in our institution. It's going to be highly impossible for you to be able to get everyone in the institution to get involved in your study. And because of that difficulties that you're going to face, then the issue of sampling comes in, which says that it's a process of selecting a subset of the population. Now, because you're looking at students, then within that student, okay, I'm looking at only postgraduate students. That because what that within your participants, I am focusing on only on postgraduate students. Within the body of students, I'm looking at only first years, third year students. I'm looking at only students with these skills and speciality. And that is what sampling entails. That you have your bigger population. Within that very bigger population, you now define, set a boundary, set a target within that bigger population. I will be looking at only the first year students. Meaning that if you are not a first year student, you are excluded. I'm looking at only students within institution A. Then if you find yourself and you're not part of institution A, what that means that you are excluded. Your idea may be relevant, but for the sake of the study, you are not within the set target of the study. Guys, are we following? And that is what sampling entails. That's why it says here it's a subset from the bigger population, and that is what sampling entails. So in that population of students, let's say in this case right now, our university have thousands of students. There is no way you can get access to all of them. Then you are now focusing only on that small number of students, and that is what our sampling entails. Okay, and now it assists the researcher in drawing findings, conclusion from this larger public, because you can't get out, you have no access, you have no time to get access to each one of them, because you're saying, okay, I'm going to be looking at our institution, which has a lot of thousands of students, both postgraduates, part-time, this and that, full-time students, and all the rest of them. I am not going to be difficult for me to get access to them. Then I am going to choose this 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 uh, 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 this particular number of students. Okay, then whatever that I found from this study, there is a likelihood that every other those that were not involved in the study may have the same experience, may have the same answer to the question, may have the same experience, and so on and so forth. So, and it is very important in research because of what it assists in cost saving, because of the cost of getting access to all of them is gonna be difficult, it's gonna be huge. But through sampling, you have cost effective in terms of managing the cost of your data collection, and so on and so forth. And then you are sure it's being visible, you are sure of achieving it. That out of these thousands of students, I'm looking at these hundreds of students, there is a tendency, there's high possibility that I am going to have access to these hundreds of students than thousands of students, and they're able to manage it. Those hundreds you're going to get the response and the feedback. You can manage their response, and within a time frame, because time is a very important aspect of research. And that's why I said in our previous class that any topic that you select, be able to select a topic that your research can be done at can your, your research cannot solve every problem. And because it cannot solve every problem, and there is a timeline, you're doing a program of 2 years, 1 year, and everything, then do something that you can be able to achieve within that very space of time that you have. Not something that will take you forever to finish. And then another important of sampling is that it enables generalization to the larger population. It assists you to make that kind of general statement. Okay, based on this is how the students within this institution, within this faculty, within this defined criteria that you have set, feel their experience. One cannot say, yes, no, I can't, I don't think that's my experience because I was not part of the study. I will know. But the representation that I've used, the people that I've used, represent every one of you that are not even part of that very study. And that is what sampling enables enables researchers to achieve. Okay. So within sampling, there are kinds of sampling. Sampling methods are grouped into two basic types. We have the probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Within the space of probability sampling, it involves a random selection of participants in giving every participant, an equal chance of participating in the study. So in your probability study, if you choose, okay, fine, how do you make this choice? Looking at the nature of your study, you're able to say, okay, fine, I'm going to use probability, not probability, based on this. If I use probability sampling, there is an equal chance that everyone in the study will be involved. There is equal chance of representation in your study. There is no one will be excluded within the population except one decides to be excluded. It provides statistical references to the whole population, to the whole um, anticipated population or estimated population of the study. Estimated population of the study. And then your non-probability provide a random selection based on defined criteria. That okay, fine, everyone in the study is very important, but I am looking at these people to involve in this study. They must possess these characteristics. They must have this kind of expertise. This kind of they must meet this kind of criteria. In this case, okay, fine, I'm gonna use student, but I'll be using student within information system because of what they are more exposed in this topic. I'll be using only postgraduate students because they possess this necessary quality of idea within my topic. That if I allow every student to be involved, other ones may not have sufficient knowledge of what I'm doing. But this set of students possess the required experience, exposure, idea, understanding of my topic. So it allows for conveniency in making data selection. So now they give you the power for you to make what to play around who to be involved and who should not be involved in your study. Okay, so within the probability sampling, there are different kinds of probability sampling. One of them is simple random sampling, gives everyone in the population the chance to be selected in the study. For example, every student can be selected. That is simple random sampling. It's open to everyone. Now, I'm looking at the student in our institution, which involve are thousands of students, but every student, whether first year, whether final year, whether postgraduate, they all have a chance to or to be represented. The questionnaire will be shared across their platforms that houses all of them. In this case, right now, we're talking about eFundi. Okay, I'm gonna share it on the eFundi. By sharing it on eFundi, everyone have access to the platform. No one will be marginalized. But now it's not up to the person to opt in or to opt out. So one of the advantages of it is that equal chance of being represented, and it is unbiased. You didn't make your selection based on who is able to get involved, who you can approach, whom you are friends with. But anyone, whether you are close to them or not, they are open to the study, which assist in terms of bias reduction. That element of personal bias as a researcher will not will be minimal. Also, the disadvantage aspect of it that what a total sample is required. It may be difficult to use in a large population. We also have a systematic sampling method, which allow for the researcher to select every tenth of the population. So now, in this case, right now, you bracket the people, you put them into tens. That every one to the tenth one will be part of the study. So you're able to group them according in 10. That every the 10th person in the study, in your count, in your grouping, will be part of the study. So the advantage here is that it involves even selection of the population size and the sampling and efficient. And also the disadvantage that selecting can be biased. You see, the other one have a little chance of biasness. This one have can also is open to that. Then we continue. We also have a certified sampling that involve the division of the population size into stratified sampling strata, and a sample is drawn from every strata. It's more or less like the systematic one, putting everyone into every student right into a particular module. Okay, you group them into modules, into courses and everything, and then you're able to do or select based on that. Also, it promotes full representation, as well as disadvantage that it requires deeper knowledge about the population. Because if you are putting them into subgroups, meaning what that you need to be able to know how you play around with that very group, so that people that every group have a chance of people that possess that knowledge. Imagine you group the people when you put the people into the groups, and the groups, a particular group are novice of what you are doing, and you're able to select that very group. You know what, that in that case right now, the kind of data you're going to have in your study will be skewed, because they may not have a better knowledge of what you are doing. Cluster sampling allows the researcher to divide the study into clusters and select clusters randomly. As clusters work, different clusters, cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do? You select cluster randomly. Okay, I'm picking cluster 1. I'm going to pick cluster 3, cluster 10, cluster 6, cluster this, and to be part of the study. Selecting every student within a campus. Okay, so okay, fine. Based on our example, we're gonna be doing it across 3 campuses, 4 campuses. In this case, right now, it gives you the opportunity for that. Every student in that very campus is being represented. For example, when you do your simple random sampling, everyone is involved. There is a tendency is gonna be skewed that a particular campus will dominate the study. When you do the simple random sampling, it's gonna be based on some certain parameters that made it so, which you yourself as example may not influence, or being that you are in that particular uh, um, campus, you have access to those students, the platform where to share it. That can also do what influence you sharing it more in that very campus than other campus. But in a cluster sampling method, automatically you're able to divide your cluster evenly according to the campus that you have, according to the groups that you have, and ensure that what you pick students across those clusters, which means what every faculty, every department, every campus, every entity, every school will be represented, that no one will be marginalized. In this case, it's cost effective and used to reach disadvantaged populations. True. Because if you say, okay, fine, I'm putting it according to clusters, that according to clusters by campus, by faculty, by school, by department, by subject groups. Remember, in a faculty, you have different schools. In the school, you have different department. In a department, you have different courses, modules people are doing. So you find that you're going to take from every single. You break it down according to this cluster from the faculty down to the module. That shows that what everyone will be involved in your study. It prone to bias and error in this sampling. So also, no matter what, it can also have that element of disadvantage whereby in terms of your selection and your clustering can be prone to even human error and so on and so forth. Guys, are we following?
Yes.
Any question before we proceed? Guys, remember the before we proceed, let me talk about. Remember that every component of this, when you are now the question becomes now, how do I apply this to my study? How do I make selection to choose a particular sampling to my study against others? Very important. So in order for you to do that, your topic and what your objective also assists you to know what kind of population are you going to focus on. For example, in the example we have been using of generative AI in higher education, what do you want to achieve? I want to understand student perception, challenges, and all the rest of them. Automatically, you're talking about students. In that challenges, what kind of challenge do you want do you need in-depth understanding of that very challenge, to explore, to have explorative kind of research that can also define in that bracket of a sampling. Will you go for probability or non-probability? If you want to get a general general understanding, and then be able to do your hypothesis, what I call it, other inferential statistics, your correlations and everything. Then you're talking about what? Going for probability. Now, within that probability now, what kind of sample are you going to choose? Do you want everyone to be involved? You want to have spread over participation? That can now define whether you're going to go for systematic, you're going to go for simple random sampling, you're going to go for clustering and all that. Stratified sampling. So that is from your topic and your objective and what you're expected to achieve, your aim, your topic, the aim of your study, and the objective of your study. These are the three things that can guide you to see, okay, for other variables as well, to know the kind of sampling you will choose. And when you choose that, now do not spend all your time discussing each of the types of sampling. You can let the reader to understand that there are two kinds of sampling. This is this, that is that. But for the sake of this study, I'm going to be choosing number A, let's say probability sampling. Then you are able to discuss in depth, provide that discussion, you provide the definition of that, you provide the why and the how. It's something you do when it comes to the types of probability sampling. You're able to let the reader to understand there are different kinds of probability sampling. This is this, that is that, and everything. For the sake of this one, I'm going to be using that. Then you do what? The why and the how. By so doing, you're able to let the reader understand that what? I understand what I'm doing and why I'm making that choice, and the contribution, the implication is going to have to my study. One hand, are you following? Are we following?
Yes,
What is
still yeah.
it? Go on,
Oh, thank you, Baba. Thank you, OCM Baba. Yes. Okay, so thank you guys. So now we go to non-probability sampling. This sampling, remember, it is a sampling. We talked about it here. That under our probability sampling, what are we looking at here? We're looking at to define your participant based on criteria, right? Are you seeing my slide?
It's non
What are you
it's
seeing, guys?
non-probability sampling.
Thank you. So we're on the same page. So because it's focused on defining your the conveniency of you defining your participant based on criteria, that for you to be able to for me to be able to choose you, you must possess 1, 2, 3 criteria. Of course, each of them have an element of criteria actually, but this one focus on defined criteria. Because when you say students, those students must be a registered student of that institution. Or you say, okay, fine, it's open for both registered and non-registered students. It's still part of you defining what you mean. That any other student from another institution is not included. So here we're talking about there is element of detailed explanation, classification, definition of what we the criteria you need to fulfill before you get involved in this study. So now, and within that, there are different kinds of non-probability sampling. One of them is convenience sampling. This involves a selection of participants on the account of convenience. And one of them is what? Availability. Okay, I'm gonna choose based on what? The proximity to the data, availability of the data of the people I am going to talk to. Because I am a student, I want to use student because of what? Student, I have access to the students. than having access to this other population. So surveying online shoppers inside or outside the mall, because of that very mall is close to you and all that. And the quick, easy, and cost effective. It's very easy, it's very simple, it's very cost effective. I don't need to travel. I don't need to source for their attention, because I am with them. I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it inside the mall, because inside the mall, they are there. Those people are there. The mall is close to me. The students are there for me. Even this is there for me to use to get access to those students, whether to invite them for interview or not, or through survey. Also, the disadvantage here is that lack of population representation and self-selection bias. That also can you can your presence, you making that choice can become a bias, that you're making it based on the convenience to you. Also, we have a judgmental or purposive sampling. This involves the selection based on researchers' discretion on those who possess some level of idea. Okay, now my topic is on Gen AI and it involves students. Okay, then I, being the researcher, what do I do? Okay, um, I'm gonna use lecturers, because I'm a lecturer first, and lecturers have an idea what I'm talking about, because generative AI today is what lecturers have many of them have gone to training. They've been given trainings on generative AI workshops and trainings and seminars, whether webinars and this and that on this. They know what I'm talking about. They have an idea what the topic is all about. And not just that, I am going to select lecturers in information system because they possess this. They are teaching computer module related. They are bound to have the idea of my topic. They possess some level of knowledge, not just not a shallow knowledge, but in-depth knowledge of what I'm talking about. So it's not you as a person making that description, deciding or using them based on that they meet your criteria to get to to give you the kind of data you need. One of the advantages that it enables you to get access to specialized population, people that masters it. I'm gonna be using IT guys because they have a sufficient knowledge. I'm gonna use the administrator because they have knowledge about this. Let's say now you want to look at the impact of generative AI on administrative tasks. You're not gonna use students in that kind of study because students they don't perform administrative function. Lecturers do not perform real administrative functions. They perform it if they do just minimum. But the guys, the secretaries, the support staffs, and everyone, these other guys, they play that role every single day. And you know that they have been given sufficient training, and they're using this very generative AI in writing memos, in writing letters, in doing this, in doing that. So they possess the idea. So they are the best people to use in my study. You made that decision, then to get them engaged, to get them involved in the study. So it also brings that kind of a downside, disadvantage, and it can lead to bias and being subjective that is based on your personal opinion to get them involved and all that. Also, we have another type of non-probability sampling is that we have snowball sampling. This will refer from one person to another. Okay, fine. My selection is based on who is available, who can be reached, and for me to reach them, I'm gonna use one person. Recruitment by personal recruitment. You recruit me, I recruit my friend, I recruit my this, I recruit my that. You begin to snowball it, you begin to roll it out. Okay, from getting one person to another person to another person to another person to another person, and then it continue. So this can be used in a situation of what anonymity, whereby you don't know them, they don't know themselves. The researcher do not know the people that will be involved in the study. It's gonna be student. I know it's gonna be student, but the student that will be involved will be first year student, for example, information system department, because they possess the knowledge of what the topic I'm doing. First of all, the expertise also plays a role to get them involved, because they have an idea of what I'm talking about. But I am going to share my link to the group, and then they will share it among themselves. So the recruitment and getting involved is no longer done by me, but rather is done by peer recruitment. Guys, are we following? But this sampling have a difficult part, that it can be difficult to reach, because you yourself as a researcher have no control who will get involved. You may share the link to me, but I didn't share it, then it's not gonna progress. So your ability to reach, to connect to people will be difficult, and then being biased. Okay, I'm gonna share with my friend who is there. Again, I influence my friends to share to other friends. Then it's not you playing that very. However, let's assume you have no that kind of connection there. Then you share to a friend that you have, and that friend does not have another friend. So it's not good to another friend. Then it stops. The sharing will stop. So it's based on who knows who and everything. There's also quarter sharing. This ensures that all characteristics of the populations are represented. The same way we have a cluster kind of, that's the same way. So it ensures that a certain percentage of the characteristics are selected. Based on this, I'm going to look at, so I'm going to listen with this kind of particular, but I'm looking at the percentage of this. They all possess these characteristics. They all meet this criteria, but I'm gonna use only 10% of them to get involved in the study, which also promote diversity, and then also bias can be introduced and not being able to randomly select them. These are the disadvantage and the advantage of quarter um, non probability selection. Okay, so what I said as before in terms of application of it is also applies here. And may you allow me to say that every section of your research methodology, the three components of what, why, and how should is the backbone of your writing. Is the backbone and should be your backbone of your writing. You must be able to discuss, explain, be able to justify why you are choosing this snowball sampling instead of using convenience sampling or judgmental sampling. Yeah, and then you must be able to tell us how it's going to help you to achieve your data collection. and how you're going to use it to achieve that data collection. So these three aspects of your writing should be provided. So now, in selecting techniques and procedure that is involved, so there is a step in designing a sampling plan. Now, it is very important determine the population. So in order for you to design your sampling, to make a choice on which of the sampling to use, first thing you need to do is to determine their population. Some of you, I have asked you a question. I ask you, okay, you say you want to do this topic. First thing I ask you is this: who will be involved in this study? Reason being that many a times students, researchers will choose a topic without knowing the population to use in that very study. A very interesting topic, but if you roll out this study, who will be involved in this study? And remember that in your proposal, you need to provide these things. You don't say that, okay, fine, I will figure it out when I proceed. No, you should be able to figure it out from the beginning so that you can be able to build your topic idea within that very line. And because you are going to, in your proposal, which is a summary of the entire structure of the study, in that proposal, you need to be able to indicate your sampling, and everything should be provided in that very part. So now, determine the first thing in planning your sampling is to determine your population. And remember, in a sampling, we have a population. A population means the entire people. Let's say, example, a student. All the students are the total population. Then we have a sampling size, which is your sampling frame. In that sampling size, it's okay. Out of this 1,000 people, I will be looking at I need only 100 questionnaire. I need only 100 survey response. So get the total population, and then you get your sample size. And that is also on the part of whether you're doing quantitative or qualitative. In a quantitative, that is where you need to get actual number of how many people that will be involved out of this total population. But in your qualitative study, interviews and all the rest of them, observation, what you need is what you need: a saturation point, which we're gonna talking saturation point. That, okay, fine. Out of this 1,000 people, I'll be interviewing only between, let's say, 8 to 16 persons. But according to researchers, it is proven that by the time I get to 8 person and above, there is a tendency I will reach the saturation point. That will also be there in your study. Okay, you say choose the sampling method, the sample size, and then excuse the and then execute the sampling process. In determining the sample size, determine there are factors and the tools to use. One of the factor is your population size, the margin of error, confidence level of uh, uh, variability, and then the tools here is to use a sample size calculator. So population size, margin of error, and all the rest of them, there is also a sampling tool that should assist you. Don't just go and put a figure. I will be using my population. I think my population is 500, and I think I will be using 50. No, you're not thinking. It should be accurate. It should provide a statistical base for making those assumptions. So in this case right now, Your population size is already is there. You provide the source. Where do you get this 1,000 that the students in that institution, in that department, in that place, the staffs, this, that, they are 1,000 people. Good. But this is quantitative in a quantitative research. Okay, there are 1,000. You provide your source. Perfect. But we're not expecting you to get 1,000 response to distribute your questionnaire to all the to get response from all the 1,000 population. That is where the sample size comes in. And for you to be able to get your sample size, you need the sample size calculator to get that. There are different kinds of determinant sample size uh, 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 determinant calculators that are there, or figures, or tables that are there. But one of them is a Cronje and Morgan. These two guys wrote a paper in 1970 that provided a table of total population and a sample size. Meaning what? That no matter the kind of population you have, whether they are in their hundreds or in their thousands, even in their millions, look at the number of sample size you need. You provide that calculation there, go to that very table and take that very figure, and then be able to source that this your sample determinant figure was enabled you through what these guys, Craig and Morgan. Are we following, guys? Hello, guys. Remo.
More.
Hola. So now you need to be able, thank you, guys. You need to be able to show, okay, I have 1,000, I have 500 people. But within that, according to Craig and Morgan table, and this calculation, show your calculation. Don't just go and put the figure. Show the calculation. It's very important to show the calculation, and then put the figure that I will be needing only 250. Remember, those 250 do not have criteria. All of them will be involved. What it simply means is this: that I will share my questionnaire to all the 1,000 participants, but I only need 250 response from them. So if 250 people respond to my survey, I'm done collecting my data. However, there can be challenges that will that can there can be some obstacle that will be there that you will be able to get that 250, of course. Or there will be some leadway that will be there, you get more than 250 is there. Instead of getting 250, you're able to get 300 or 28 or 350. It's okay. But whether you collected 250, you prove it, you justify why you collected 250, you write why you collected 250, how you're able to collect that 250. Remember, research, there is element of repeatability, transparency. Every research should be transparent. And for you to be transparent, all these things we are talking about in your methodology is what makes your research to be transparent. You're able to provide, to write, to document, to write how you're able to achieve that 250. Okay, I was able to get 108. How? Why? You justify it. And one good thing about research is this: whether you are collecting on that sample size, not figure, or above sample size figure, there is always literature out there to help you to justify why you collected excess data, or why you collected less. The less part is that maybe people were not forthcoming after you have sent numerous you have shared your link numerous times across different platforms. You have made a follow up. You have done this. You have done that. Still, the numbers are no longer improving. You conclude. In the same vein, you're able to provide that other people who have done similar, who have faced similar challenge in their own study, and they were able to conclude by 50%, 45%, 70%. Guys, are we following? By so doing, you are simply telling your reader that what that you stopping is not because you are lazy. Let me put it that way. But because of all these challenges, all these obstacles, however, that your findings can still be reliable, can still be generalizable, can still be used based on social and so who have said that even when you have collected 10% of what you need, example, 50% of what you need, 30% of what you need, 70% of what you need, yes, your findings still be valid to be used in making decision. Case close. So one thing about it said that most of the things you be doing, someone have faced that challenge, someone have done it. What you simply need is to quote them. That according to my man, when you collect excess response, it is still valid. It will provide you this. It's okay. It's more or less it provides more rich data. You provide those sources, you write those literatures. Remember, at your proposal level, you're able to tell your reader that this is what you want to do. When you have done it, this is where you have to document these things. After you have collected your data, all those experiences that made you not to collect, that did this, that did that, you're able to document them and provide here and there some literature that to back up your experience. Then you are good to go. Okay. So also, I talked about the saturation part because most of this I talked about before now. Remember, in your probability and the non-probability sampling, your probability is mostly used in a quantitative study, while non is basically is mostly used on your in your qualitative study. Both are used in a mixed method. But now in your qualitative data, how can you determine your population size and your sample size? And that is where your saturation comes in. So saturation simply mean that what, remember guys, that in a quantitative study where you have 250 people participants, the same study can be done in a qualitative with a qualitative method with lesser participants, but having the same quality of data collected. Let me put it this way. Interview and observations and all these things enables you to have a rich data in terms of exploration. Because in your survey, in that 250, you provide that questionnaire, which most times the questionnaire will be close-ended. You provide option using your Likert scales and all the rest of them, close-ended, true or false, agree, disagree, neutral, and strongly disagree, and all the rest of them. That is what you provide. There was not a place where the people can express themselves. But now, when you have collected that 250 and someone was able to interview 10 persons, the same amount of quality of data is the same thing. However, in your 10 persons, it is being said that you have more quality data than 250 people. But the same way, the data are correct. Because in that 10 people, there is element of what you explore more. You didn't ask the question true or false, they stop. True or false, why do you choose true? Why do you choose false? By so the person was able to express his or herself in further why is saying true, justifying it. Why is saying false, justifying it. That's how we follow him. So now, when you are determining your sample size, it is very important for you to be able to provide your population, great, with the source, great, estimated population, great. Now, under your sample size, you need to also do the same thing you did with Craig and Morgan, on also on your qualitative study. But in this way, you need to be able to provide a literature study that shows that what that 10 to 20 people will still give you will still give you enough data. So in that case now, saturation point comes in because it simply says where what that what at that level where you are, saturation point, there is no more new insight or new thing emerging from your data collection. Then you can say, yes, I have reached my saturation point. It is the level whereby it's okay, fine. When I have interviewed 10 persons, there is a tendency I am going to reach my saturation point that what no longer you no longer have new knowledge emerging from data you are collecting. Meaning that what the 11th person is now saying is more or less what others have said. There is no longer new insight coming from the data you are collecting. There's no longer new theme coming from the data you are collecting. Then you say, okay, I have reached my what? My saturation point at number 10th interview. But you stated that you're going to look at between 8 and 16 persons. But at the 10th one, you have clocked into your saturation point. So you as a researcher need to be able to provide that population is there. My sample size is between 10 to this to that, and provide people who says that number is enough. You cite them. Then you're able to tell, you're able to now be able to, in your study, provide how do you get that. In this, I'm going to look at because you're looking at students, right? Okay, you're looking at students in because remember, element of criteria in non-probability sampling. I'm looking at students, yes, population of students, but I'm looking at students in this particular department or year of study. Because of what they possess this idea, right? I'm looking at final year students within this faculty and within this department, meaning that all the final years are involved. However, I'm gonna be looking at you cluster them for you to have equal representation. In that, I'm gonna be looking at this number of that. In an organization, I'm gonna be looking at CFO. I'm gonna be looking at HOD, two HODs. I'm gonna be looking at the two technical guys. I'm gonna be looking at three admin staff. I'm gonna be looking at that. You're able to divide it in that manner, and then remember that your division also falls within the threshold of your saturation, not outside your saturation. You're able to divide them. That I'm gonna make two persons from there, from the technical unit. I'm gonna two top management, the CFO and the director and deputy director, one director, one deputy director, making it four. I'm gonna be looking at three from there, from the operational manager, making it four plus seven. I'm gonna be looking at the three admin staff. Okay, you divided that very way. Now, by the time you interview one HOD, one this, all of them, one, and then you push on. By the time you get to the 10th person, nothing is longer coming. No new insight again. You can conclude your study. But you're able to now to give it. I always advise students to put these things in table. I have 1,000 people. I'll be looking at In that 1,000, there is 50 directors, this, that, that. You break it down. Transparency is what research is all about. Methodology is all about. You break it down. So out of that 500, 1,000 people, look at how they are being categorized. Look at the different sections. There is this, there is that, there is that, there is that. You break it down. So based on that, because there are 50 this, I'm going to be looking at 10 from there, 2 from there, 1 from there, 1 from there. By the time you realize it, every section, every unit, every department in that organization is being represented. Guys, any question?
So far so good, Prof. On my side.
I hope I'm not fast.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, not bad.
Okay. So, so remember this part. I said why. So that why is where you are now justifying why that saturation. I have seen people when they say, okay, they quote a number, 20 people, 20 interviews will be conducted. Come on. No. Justify that 20. Justify why that 20. And one good thing about is that someone in the literature have justified that. What you simply do is to base your argument based on according to Maman 2025. You say that 20 people, when you are doing this kind of study, 20 people is enough, which forms your saturation. By so doing, you have justified why you are putting those figures. So don't just go and copy figures, get figures randomly from wherever, from your mind, from wherever, and put it there. No, those things should be justified. Okay, whether you are doing quantitative or qualitative, your justifications are very, very important. And then to make it easier, citation is what give you enough justification. Okay, now if you remember when we're talking about sampling, there's element of each of the sampling type part have one form of biasness, the other error, the other. So okay, fine. So under this, you're talking about sampling bias. This happen when same group of populations are excluded or overrepresented systematically. You are using students. In your student, you exclude some part of students. That is why you need to be able to categorically be able to spell out. Look at the kind of student I'm talking about. Look at the category. You stick to that. But when you exclude some based on some reasons which are not scientifically proven, that is that is sampling bias. When you overuse some group of students, some group of population, that is also being what sampling bias. So there are types of and then also errors as well. So there are types of errors here which are what selection error, bias, and non-responsive bias. In this case, we're talking about exclude some group systematically intentionally. I'm going to exclude this group of students because I don't like how they are treating me in this process. I don't like the way they are responding in my study because you have gone through their response. You found out that their response are not really. It's not what you expect. What you want to see. But let me say this, guys. So most at times, researchers have expectation what they want, right? What they want to achieve. Of course, every research have an objective, what you want to achieve. It's a standard practice. Now, when what you want to achieve is not coming, can we say that the study is not okay, have not achieved its aim? I'm asking you. You have your objective, and from your data collection, you can see that your objective is not being met. It's going opposite of what you want. Is it error?
Yes, it's error.
It's an error, right?
Yes, doc.
Then in that case right now, whose problem? Is it your problem? What are you gonna do? Are you going to stop? Are you going to stop your study and then quit or start afresh?
No, keep going, sir. But it's
Okay. It is an issue, of course, but the issue is not what will let you to stop your study. The people are responding based on what they know, and that's how they feel. But it's not fulfilling your expectation. That is why every research process must be documented. Because you have done everything right, but it still go left instead of going right. Not issue. You report what you found. What you're able to find, you report it. Case closed. Report everything there. Someone will take it up, and then it's another area of research again that this is happening this way. Someone will take it up again to find out why it's happening that way. Why it happened that way. So research is a repetition. It's a process being repeated over and over. So here, you exclude people intentionally, and then non-response bias. Some individuals are not responding, like what I talked about earlier, that in a situation whereby you need 250, but by the time you get to 120, it's closed. After series of efforts, emails, follow up, sharing your link. If it's physical data collection, you still go back to the people, you see, you share that very questionnaire and everything, but it's no longer coming. That is a bias. You still report that. Okay, the strategy to minimize this sampling bias is what? Random sampling method. Now, why is random sampling method is one of the ways to minimize this bias, this sampling bias, that it ensures that subset are involved. Meaning what? That everyone. So because you have a larger pool of people to involve, there's no way all of them will turn you down. Okay, increase your response rate. By so doing, you can present things like give, things like incentives, some kind of incentives to draw the people. If you do this, I'm gonna give you that. It's allowed. It's being used in research. If you complete this questionnaire, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you that, or there will be a rifle, right, to be drawn at the end of the day. Everyone that participated will be part of this rifle based on maybe they have a unique number which you are giving to them during the time of data collection. You put it into a pool, then you do your rifle and give them something, maybe a voucher or something like that. Also, it can be a personalized invite because you throw it out. No, they don't know who is involved in this study. Because okay, fine, please can you assist so and so, because when you put your name to it, oh, they will assist you. It personalize it. Multiple contact attempt. You have been doing it via email, but you have access to their WhatsApp number. You send them WhatsApp to their phone number. You call them by phone. So you try different thing. It needs you to go to their offices, to their classes. You do that. You try different method because you have done it online. Let's say in the case of students right now, you put it on Ifundi, but they are not forthcoming. But you have access to their classroom. You use their lecturers to get access to their classroom. You go to their lecturers, okay, fine, I have this link. Please, can you share on Ifundi with your student? That can also be what multiple contact attempts. Confidentiality assurance. Remember, sometimes people, when they feel like what their response will implicate them, what do? You ensure that whatever you are collecting, nobody's gonna trace it back to you. That is why I didn't ask for your phone number, I didn't ask for your email, I didn't ask for your name, I didn't ask for your this, for that. Because of what? There's nothing that can link your response back to you. That everything that the analysis will be congregated together, will be analyzed as a group, not individual analysis. And that is one of the things when there is a cover page, there is cover letter on you when you apply for ethics on your questionnaire or your research instrument in general. That cover letter always states that. Put these things there. Terms of confidentiality and all the rest of them. Clear and concise. Keep the survey, keep your questionnaire clear, brief, and readable. Remove any form of ambiguity in your data instrument that will confuse the people. Use terms, explain terms that will make them to understand what you are talking about for them to be able to engage, to assist. Using wearing adjustment to do or to correct imbalances or biases. In this case right now, under representation of a representation, you try to balance it. Because now you find out that this study is being skewed. Here, you find out that your questionnaire has been focusing only on people at Maheken campus. That is overrepresentation. But other campuses are not being represented. So you find out that if you continue sharing it here at Maheken campus, there's the same response. People will no longer, because they have seen it, they have done it already. What do? You move to the other side where there is less response to do what? To increase your response rate. Guys, are we following? So these are different ways, strategies you can minimize these forms of biases, whether selection bias, whether non-response bias or error. Okay, so we come to the ethical considerations in your sampling. Ensuring what? Representativeness, accurate sampling, and then avert from any form of misrepresentation. Ethically, be sure that you are using the correct sampling method, the correct sampling sample size determinant, and all that. Inform consent. Inform participants about the study, what the study is all about. Provide an introduction of what the study is all about, so someone can have a better idea what he or she wants to complete. If someone feel uncomfortable with the study, the person opt out. Remember, these studies are voluntary. Meaning what? Because of that, you need to provide them with sufficient information that will make someone, if you are engaged, you are involving yourself in this study, not out of cohesion, not out of persuasion, but out of what? Self-voluntary participation. And then give them the consent to participate or not to participate. Allow them. If you want to participate, okay, click. You participate. If you want to opt out, you're still gonna opt out at any given time. So it can be a pure, willing, full participation. Confidentiality is very important. Protect personal identities and information. Very important. If there is a if in a situation whereby you are recording them, you are recording an interview, ensure then that the record the recorded interview will be protected with this, with that, this and that. Their voice of their response will not be linked to the third party and everything. All those confidentiality and anonymity clause information should be able to be given to the participant, so the person can be sure, okay, fine, whether you record me through video, through voice, or whatever, everything about me will be confidentially being protected. Okay. So at the same time, there is some challenges and limitations in sampling, and these are the common challenges in implementing sampling is this: gathering complete data, like I talked about before. Whether you are doing interview, whether you are collecting questionnaire, survey data, completing it is always a challenge. That's why if you have excess, then it's good, you are lucky. But many a times, there is always incomplete. 50% completed after you have done all those attempts we talked about in the previous one, and told the previous slides. You have done all those attempts, contact attempts. Still, it moved from 50% to 52% after 3 months. You have been doing that for the past 3 months, for the past 6 months. Nothing. The study must go on. You conclude. Now, when you go in literature, guys, everything we do in research these days, as someone have done it, there's always a literature to back up our stand, our decision. When you go in literature, you find out someone who have done study that say, okay, at the point of waiting for response after 3 months, you are good to go. You should conclude. You bring that person's you cite that person into your work to justify why you moved on to conclude your study at 52% after 3 months of waiting, trying different methods and everything, providing that you should try different methods, multiple contact. You have tried them. They have done each one of them, but nothing changed. Using but providing incentive, everything you have done, nothing is there. So that is one of the challenge. Managing um non-response. People will promise they will respond, but they are not coming. Or in the case that incomplete response is also there, you provide those questionnaires and then people complete halfway, they give it to you. When you open it, you find out they completed only half of your question, your questionnaire or whatever. What can you do? Halfway to your interview, the person had some calls to attend to. It ended there. You made a follow up to continue. The person is no longer coming. What do? You have to work with the data you have and all those. So these are different kinds of challenges. Okay. So limitations of different sampling method: high and time consuming. Probability in a probability sample is very time consuming. In a time consuming, for example, remember when you're collecting 250 interview, when you're collecting 250 data, 300 data, it's gonna take you time, right? So it's time consuming, and bias is also there. How to address these common challenges is mixed methods, a pilot testing, use statistical correction, sampling, weighing, adjustment, and other method will assist you to manage these common challenges. Okay, guys, here we are. Any question? I've been talking. You need to talk to me right now. Okay? Your silence means everything is Ayoba. Good.
Yeah. Kind of, prof.
Okay. I believe now is Ayoba. Let it also be Ayoba when you are putting into writing. Okay. So in all these things we are talking about, the two parts, your citations and your references should be intact. Now let me draw from your previous assignment that you submitted. Most of you are falling short of this. You write, you can see a whole a paragraph of plus minus 5 to 6 line. Only one citation. No. Or no citation. No. The bedrock, the foundation of academic writing is built on citation. Whether you're an expert or no expert, elements of citation is still gonna be there. Now you're not an expert in that area, that becomes critical for you. That what you need to be able to, not that I've said it before now, you don't need to cite every sentence you make in your work. No. But you will tell yourself that idea that you wrote is got it from somewhere, cite that person. Then you extend it. You extend it. By extension, you're not looking at any other document, you're looking at that idea you have built. You're adding something to it, you're extending it. That is your own. The next one, you got it from somewhere, you cite. That's how you build. And by you providing those writing constructively and building it using a citation, it proves the credibility of your work. Citations are not just there just to tick a box. No, it's there to prove the credibility of your way, that whatever you are not writing based on self-imagination, but you're writing based on proving fact that whatever I'm talking about here is there. The problem I'm talking about is already the people have talked about this. It's not changing. That's why I'm trying to also add my view through this part. People have done this study using quantitative. I want to do using qualitative or mixed method and all that. So very important, provide your in-text citation, and then I can see that many of you uh, are providing references. So make sure that all those citations you have there, they all appears on your reference list. One of the best way to use this referencing tools, your EndNote and all the rest of them, to do that. Case close. So make sure that you add in your first assignment these two parts. Citations were not there. Please, I don't want to see that continue that way. In conclusion, okay, statistical sampling tools. So when you are doing, there are different software tools for you to use in your in your in your statistical analysis and sampling analysis. Use your SPSS, your R, and all the rest of them. Okay. In conclusion, sampling assists researchers to minimize bias, ethical challenges, it in ensuring that the thoughtful and logical sampling is done. That is what your sampling assists you to do. Thank you everyone for being here. Question, observation, and all the rest of them. Any question? Okay.